threats, sorry, let me get rid of this on my screen. The threats of working with the, the waterway transport of the state. You know, you have that down as a threat. So I'm wondering, will they support you? Is the Ministry of the Waterway Transport going to support you? So those are my first two questions. So I don't know if...
pour améliorer les conditions de transport, le gouvernement, mais vous-même. Comment vous allez surmonter les faiblesses là pour avoir ces solutions?
OK. Merci beaucoup pour la question.
We thank you very much for the question.
Et ma faiblesse d'avoir des personnes intègres.
My weakness of having honest staff.
Pour bien surmonter ça.
For a good overcoming this.
Il faut la surveillance.
You need watching.
Quelle que soit la personne que tu peux travailler avec lui.
No matter the person you are asked to work with.
Et il ne faut pas placer l'influence, la vue et le juger sans avoir fait le suivi.
You did not judge without finding the real reason.
Donc, il faut toujours le suivi sans tenir compte d'abord de la position de l'honnêteté.
We always need a follow-up so that we can catch the source of faithfulness in him.
Pour ce qui est des menaces du gouvernement,
as for the problems in the government,
ce sera mieux le gouvernement nous accompagne pour le développement de notre pays.
We will ask the government just to accompany us for the development of the country.
S'ils nous accompagnent par des protections normales et bonnes,
if the government accompanies us with the protection by a good follow-up,
oui, ça peut nous aider à évoluer sans problème.
This will help us to develop with no problem.
C'est ça que je peux répondre à votre question.
This is what I plan to answer to your questions.
Awesome. I do have one other question. If you can hop over to the numbers on the slides. My main question is how many on one boat, how many trips per day, per year are you planning to get those numbers? I'm just curious about the cost of gas, the cost of, and employees, that kind of thing versus a, $1, $2 trip. How many trips is that, essentially, are you needing a day? Are you needing a year to make?
Il y a un tableau que j'ai mis.
I have a board that I have displayed.
Sur notre fleuve, on a la montée.
On our river, we have the going up
et la descente.
And the going down.
À la montée, la consommation est plus grande que la descente.
When we are going up, the rise of the consumption is low.
Et quand la consommation est plus intense, et le prix est moindre.
Sorry, I'd like to say when we're going up, the consumption is low, is rising, is up. And when we go down, the consumption is less.
Okay. Et c'est alors que j'ai pu mettre ce prix. Compte tenu de la densité qui sera dans ces contrées, on peut faire à 6 navettes par jour.
This is why I decided to put the price, so charge this price.
On peut faire 6 navettes, de va-et-vient.
We can do 6 trips of going and backing.
Okay. C'est ça que j'ai constaté.
This is what I noticed.
Great, thank you so much, Cherie. Thank you, Josue. Let's go to Patrick.
Yeah, it was just an amazing presentation. Well done. You have done such a good job. I think my main question is just again around the financials. You mentioned that the unsafe boats that are currently carrying people right now. I just wanted to get an idea. I can't remember if you said it or if I didn't hear it. What is the price that people currently pay on the unsafe boats versus the price that you will be charging on the service?
Ok, vous avez choisi parce que c'est comme s'il n'a pas bien suivi, mais c'est vous qui avez parlé de ça. Et quel est le prix? Vous avez parlé de $3. Vous pouvez expliquer ça?
Je parlais de prix de $3
I was talking about the price of
à la
$3.
montée, $2 à la descente.
$3 for going up and $2 for going down.
C'est base de ça que j'ai pu trouver le calcul annuel.
On the basis of this, that I have found these calculations, these yearly calculations.
I think part of my question was also just asking the current boats that are currently carrying people right now, how much do they currently charge? The ones that are very unsafe, how much are they charging?
Okay. Pour le moment, il n'y a pas les transports modernisés comme cela.
Okay, for the moment, there is not such a modernized transportation.
Sauf, il y a des bateaux, de la façon dont j'ai montré sur les photos, comment est-ce que les gens est en train de voyager, c'est à des prix moins chers, mais inhumains, comme je montré là.
Actually, there is no modernized transportation means in this way. Only the traditional one that I have displayed on the pictures you can see, which is not really safe and it is not comfortable.
Et il y a des bateaux que j'ai montés, le yacht qui fait ces navettes, c'est à $50 par personne s'il y a 12 personnes et à $120 par personne si vous êtes à 2 à 3 pour atteindre le point Maluku.
And there are boats, some rare boats that I displayed here, which are there, but they are very expensive. They are costing from $50 to $120 to leave Gombe to reach Maluku port.
Alors, pour donner un bon prix, c'est pourquoi j'ai pu évaluer pour aider la communauté et la population quinoise avec le revenu qui est moindre pour ne pas exagérer le coût.
And such boats are only reserved for a few number of population. This is why I'd like to set this project to facilitate Congolese people to live, to use the boats, the modernized boats, even with a cheap price.
Okay, I think maybe just to get clarification, the traditional ones that the traditional one on the picture, how much would people take a trip on the traditional one that's not safe right now?
Dans le traditionnel, c'est dans le $1.5 à la montée, à la descente 1.8, quelque chose comme ça. Mais sauf que ce n'est pas praticable souvent avec les traditionnels dans ces tronçons. Mais il y a le prix normal de voie routière. Pour des Gombe jusqu'à Maluku, on est à $2.5.
Okay, so in this traditional way of transportation on the river, the price is from it is between $1.5 or $2, but it is not really useful and available to be used frequently. So the way is not really safe, and it is rare to take people, a lot of people at the same time. So people who are there are very in dangerous conditions, and people don't really appreciate that. They avoid accidents.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you for now. The reason why I was asking that was I just wanted to make sure that the people who would be coming onto the boat of life are people who can actually afford to pay, even if it's a slightly increased price from the boat of death that they're currently on. So that's the reason for the question.
I thank you.
Merci. Merci.
Thanks, Patrick. We'll go to Watchin.
Okay. Well, first, congratulations. Excellent project, great business idea. I have two short questions. First, how will you mitigate the risk of COVID-19, saying in the people are packed up in the boat, considering today's reality, regardless of the mode of transportation, you have to protect your passengers. How do you plan to manage the whole concept of protecting your customers on this boat because of the virus?
OK, merci beaucoup pour la question. La protection d'abord pour la population, de la façon dont ils voyagent pour le moment, il n'y a pas le respect des distanciations des COVID-19.
I thank you very much for the question. If we see the way people are traveling in those traditional boats, we see that there is no respect of the distance, social distance, to avoid COVID. Yeah.
Et alors, quand j'ai pu créer cette idée de bateau de vie,
when I created this new idea of the project that is called Boat of Life,
parce qu'il y aura la vie.
It is because I think that there is life.
C'est pourquoi j'ai nommé la vie, pour donner la vie aux gens.
This is why I named it life, just to give life to people.
Il ne faut pas seulement donner la vie spirituellement, il faut donner aussi la vie matérielle, physiquement.
We don't need to give life only spiritually, but also physically.
Et le gens qui viendra pour entrer dans ce bateau, il y aura un ordre bien planifié.
And people who will come to the boat, they will be limited.
Et les places sont à une distance bien déterminée pour éviter la maladie. Il y aura des tests à l'entrée du bateau, il y aura de lave-mains, il y aura toutes dispositions pour protéger la population qui entrera dans ce bateau.
And everybody will come to the boat, will be checked up, and there will be the respect of distance in every seat in the boat. So they will respect the social distance to avoid the COVID contagion.
Okay. C'est ça que je peux vous répondre comme réponse.
Okay, great. If you're going to have social distancing, that would be great. Okay, the second question has to do with the investors on your financial. Can you go to the screen where you show the percentage of investor versus his equity? The question I want to know is, yes, right. It states, are you, do you own 100% of the business, or does your investor have equity, or is this a debt?
Es-tu toi-même le propriétaire de ces investissements, ou bien ton investisseur est en train de vous guider ça? Vous avez une égalité de travail?
J'ai pas bien ces études. Je suis.
Sorry, I didn't listen well. Understand the question, the way.
Yeah, the question is, so giving you a loan, or do they own a portion of the business as partners?
Okay. Oui, j'aimerais pour bien marcher.
So I would like for good leading.
Pour effectuer ce projet, on travaille ensemble.
To achieve this project, we work together.
Et ensemble pour faire quelque chose de mieux, de meilleur.
And together to achieve better things.
C'est ça la réponse que je peux répondre à la deuxième question.
This is the answer I can give for the second question.
Well, I'm not sure I understood your answer. I want to know, are you paying for this investment? Is it a loan or is it equity, which means you do not have to pay back? Because if you have a loan, it will affect your bottom line. Your net income will be less. So is it a partnership or is it debt?
Auprès des investisseurs, j'aimerais qu'on travaille en partenariat.
Vous travaillez déjà en partenariat?
Non, pour le moment, je ne travaille pas en partenariat, je travaille seul.
For this moment, I work alone. I don't work in partnership with investors. Est-ce que vous prenez de l'argent ou bien votre argent?
Non, avec mon propre argent.
I work with my own money. I am myself the owner of the money that I invest in the business.
So the money from the others, is it a gift or is it a debt?
Un crédit ou bien c'est un cadeau?
On partage de parts. C'est-à-dire que s'il vient avec sa part, le bénéfice qui doit être engendré dans cette affaire, on partage le pourcentage en fonction de l'argent mené.
So when an investor comes, we work together and at the end we share the percentages.
Okay, so they are investing as an equity, it's not a debt. That's what I want to know. Is he paying now for the investment? So he's paying them later, not now.
Ils investissent et vous payez plus tard.
Payer et doit investir.
Oui, ils donnent l'argent et vous payez plus tard, des fois.
Vous
payez plus tard. Quand vous travaillez votre argent, ils vous payent plus tard.
Oui, c'est comme ça.
Yes, it's so.
Okay, so technically it's deferred. It's not, right now it's equity going in. Okay, great, but thank you very much. Good project.
Wow, thank you so much, Josue. I was reading the comments in the chat. Everyone that in the audience is giving you some great feedback. Judges, I'm going to give you a minute or two to finish your scoring before we move on to our next competitor. So those of you in the audience, if you'd like to use that chat feature, you can encourage and motivate our other our competitors as you're going through, listening to them. It's very important to them. Josue, we're going to have you go ahead and close your screen, and we'll have Nina get hers ready to go from Kenya as we are finishing the judges. I'll check with you in just a moment as you are working on your score sheets. And we'll be getting ready for Kenya with Nina. And you can bring yours, share your presentation. You know, this is what I love about our Nehemiah family, is that our belief that we're not in competition, but we're in completion. How we help each other, support, encourage, motivate, is just a great testament to how our biblical entrepreneurs, our network, really want the best for each of us to succeed. And so continue with your good comments and your encouragement for all the competitors. Judges, let me know. You can tell me yes when you're ready to move on, and as we get prepared. Judges, are you ready? Cherie says she's done. Excellent. Brian, would you answer if you could watching? I'll answer your questions for you. She's asking about the timing. Right. Brian, if you could message to her and let her know what the actual time was. Okay.
Deborah, I'm done.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. All right. Well, I guess I should show my screen since I have a presentation here. Let me do this as well. All right. So we are our second competitor. Frank is Frank Katonga. Sorry, Frank, I messed up your name. Is from Kenya. Would you like to introduce your competitor this morning?
Hi, Deborah. Yeah, I see my name today. We're gonna deal with that after this. Very good job for Josue. Congratulations, my brother from DRC. My name is Frank Kitonga, country director for Nehemiah in Kenya. And I am pleased to welcome all of you who are coming into the call out of Africa. Welcome to Africa. Our competitor from Kenya, her name is Nina Mutegi. Nina is the CEO for Mirema School, and Nina has been running this school with her management team, including her sister, and they have been doing an amazing job. So Nina, go ahead and put up your screen now as we welcome you. Nina was part of our BE executive class, which was our very first one to do here in the center in Nairobi. So Nina, welcome. If you can hear me, and you can share your screen now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there you
Okay,
go.
that's better. Sorry, I was having some technical problems. Thank you, Frank. So let me know if you want me to make a start.
Show your screen first. Let's make sure you have your presentation up and ready.
Thank you. Okay, just bear with me a moment.
So Nina, you look ready to go, and you're looking smashing this evening in Nairobi. So fantastic work. Looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Let me just get this started.
Yeah, I like you talking.
Can you see that now?
Yes,
we can. Yes. So you can start when you're ready.
Okay. It was another day at the bank, and I was sitting in the bank manager's office with my parents, both my parents, and we were there to follow up on a loan that hadn't gone through. We were desperate for that loan, and I could see the strain on my parents' faces. We hadn't been able to pay staff salaries for 3 months in a row, and our suppliers were becoming impatient. The business was in trouble. In fact, we were drowning. My name is Nina Mutegi, Chief Executive Officer for Mirema School, and I'm a second generation director. The story I've just shared with you is not unusual for family businesses in Africa. The worldwide statistics for transition or making the leap from first generation to second generation stand at 66%, but for Africa, we're just at 20%. And the reason for this is because many businesses are run without systems or policies, and there are unresolved issues regarding ownership and inheritance. There's also lack of strategy to guide the business through events such as death, marriage, divorce, or even family disputes. This narrative for Africa must change. Mirema School was started by Mr. and Mrs. Mutegi in 1998 when they made the decision to transform their home into a school. They had just 3 students to begin with. And 13 years after that, they had a student population of 250. At that point, their second daughter, Lona Mutegi, joined the business. And 6 years after that, I transitioned into the business as well. At that point, we had a student population of 350. The transition between the first and the second generation meant that we had to align our thoughts and expectations, and there was born our first strategic plan. By the end of 2019, we had a student population of 1,200. And now the second generation has been tasked with taking the business to the next level with a focus on kingdom principles. My journey as the CEO started when I left home at the age of 17 and went to live abroad. Living away from my family came with a large number of challenges and wilderness experiences, and I settled into a career as a nurse. I was away from home and those wilderness experiences were very challenging, but little did I know at that time that the hand of God was on my life, because that career in nursing propelled me into leadership positions where I was able to manage wards within hospital settings, as well as set up patient support programs in the UK, Spain, Germany, and in the Emirates. The decision to come back home was also triggered by a wilderness experience. I had gone through a broken marriage and I needed a new beginning. I had a conversation with my sister and she once again urged me to come home and help with the family business. That hadn't been an option before, but at that point, the decision was made and I came back to Kenya. During that transition, I went through the Biblical Entrepreneurship course, and it was in that time that I realized my identity and my purpose, and my mandate in Mirama School, which is to build it into a profitable, sustainable, and scalable business that has a kingdom impact that will last over 100 years. I intend to do that through the separation of the business from the family, strengthening the business separately, and strengthening the family through a family charter. So what problem are we solving at Mirama School? Back in 1985, we had an education system that was called the 844 system. And whilst it had its benefits, one of the challenges from this system is it was very heavy on the theory and neglected areas such as soft skills. So the product of this curriculum was rather like the robot that you can see here. I experienced this problem myself when I was managing nurses from different countries while working in the UK. Kenyan nurses were known to have a very strong work ethic and to be good nurses. But when it came to issues such as management, leadership, or even challenging the existing practice, we had a problem. That is the problem that triggered the transfer or the transition to a new curriculum, the competence-based curriculum. However, at Mirama School, we have decided not to leave it to education systems. We have come up with a solution that is fitting for Kenyan children, where we build on proficiencies that are very clear. The proficiencies are to do with kingdom competencies, as well as academic and non-academic competencies, so that the 21st century child is able to go out into the global space, as well as go into the kingdom space, more importantly. We believe that if you train up a child in the way he should go, then when he is old, he will not depart from it. An industry analysis of the education in Kenya shows that there has been a transition from public schools towards private schools. Public schools have had a lot of infrastructure challenges and issues with staffing of teachers, and that has led to a demand or an increase in the private schools in the country. However, this trend has been stopped in its tracks by COVID-19, where we have all our schools closed in Kenya and our children at home. So what that children in school towards management are at home. Our market analysis shows that we have a catchment area of about 1 million people, and this is based on the area that is covered by our internal transport system. This area has a population growth of 3 to 4%. Our target customer is generally a millennial who is over the age of 25 years, and they're very aspirational. They place high value on the standards for their children, and they want to be associated with a strong brand. But what do parents want for their children? It's the same thing I want for my child. It's the same thing every parent wants for their child. They want a child that is successful and a child that will bring them honor and not shame. They want them to do well in their academics so that they transition into a good high school. They want a child that has a clear sense of identity, not just in themselves, but in Christ. This is in line or in keeping with the proficiencies that we want for our children at Mirema School. And this alignment is what has triggered our marketing strategy. We found that we receive most of our clients through word of mouth referrals from other parents. And what we strive to do is once we receive these referrals, we want to retain those parents and we want to wow them. However, in the course of our first strategic plan, we realized that we had an attrition challenge. So when we looked at the numbers of the children that we had in the various classes, we found that the numbers were reducing the older, the higher we went in the classes. Looking at the mathematics of that, this creates an unrealized profit of $900,000 per year. This is the solution we are looking at now. We want to engage staff and parents so that we can solve this attrition challenge while giving the students a world-class education. A SWOT analysis shows that we are heavily affected by COVID, but in different areas. So we found that ownership of land is one thing that is a strength for us, especially in the COVID period, because we don't have to pay rent. And interestingly, COVID-19 features as an opportunity and a threat for us. Our Kingdom Impact is based on the Serve with Love approach, where we focus on having children that will revolutionize Africa. So the students will go through programs that are designed to directly help them impact the community. And that will be achieved by empowering the teachers, the parents, the community at large. Our organogram shows that we've got a highly skilled team that leads a staff of 129, but that has obviously been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Our numbers are clear. Our income statement shows that despite the COVID hit in 2020, we intend to have our incomes recover over the next 2 years, mainly by pushing our online solutions. Our balance sheet shows a good liquidity ratio, and our cash flow is strong because we only need financing when we are planning major expansions. Our expenses are related to salary costs for teaching and non-teaching staff. And therefore, my KPIs are related to student and staff retention, enhancement of digital learning, as well as implementation of policies and digitalization. We have milestones to move to 2031 and beyond, where we have Mirema Group of Schools that will be in Kenya and beyond into East Africa. We currently have a loan facility and we're seeking better terms and strategic partnerships to improve that, so that finally our statements of faith will lead us to transition into the third generation. And by that, we will have changed the narrative on family businesses in Africa, and we will have honored our parents. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Nina. Excellent presentation. So happy with what you have. Let's keep your presentation available so the judges can ask questions. This round, let's start with Patrick.
Well done, Nina. Amazing presentation. Well done. Such an uplifting work that you are doing. Just a couple of questions from my side. The first one is, I think on your SWOT page, you sort of talked about the fact that one of the strengths that you've got is the fact that you own your own land, but I also noticed that you mentioned, I think, on your weaknesses or threats, I can't remember, but you also talked about limited space. Just help me understand the limited space for expansion.
Okay, so we are currently on a plot of land that is 4.5 acres in size. And whilst we've used about 70% of that, we are aware that we need to start thinking about space for expansion as we fill up the numbers. So we're looking at resolving the attrition challenge that we have. And when that happens, then we know we're going to need some additional space. So we'll be looking at moving to an additional campus.
Okay, great. All right. Perhaps the other thing, if you can maybe just go to your attrition slide.
Yes, sure. Okay, yes.
Okay, great. You also mentioned that the attrition, from my understanding, from what I seem to have heard, is that the attrition is both on the staff side, but also on the pupil side. Is that correct? And maybe if you can just speak into maybe some of the things that you are doing on the pupil side of the attrition.
Okay, that's clear. So what it is generally when you have a school, you would tend to fill it up from the lower classes, so the kindergarten classes, and then you have those children moving through to the higher classes. So the challenge that we have with attrition is we have a strong reputation on our kindergarten and lower classes, but when children get to about grade 5, grade 6, we tend to notice that they're dropping off. And the reason we think that, and that is we've had some inconsistencies in the quality of teaching, especially in the higher classes, which are directly linked to staff retention. So when you have a high turnover of staff, then it tends to go with the challenges with the standards, setting the standards and having that follow through for the learners. So what we're doing is we're focusing on staff retention, looking at engaging the teachers and making sure that we give them a good package that keeps them with us. And then we will be able to set those standards and make them more solid and have written policies that we can effect. One of the things I'm really keen on doing is the digitalization of processes as well, so that we're able to have quality and standards. But I think one of the other things that affects us is the engagement with parents. So we need to also look at making sure we keep the parents clear about what we are working on, what we're achieving, and being able to share the progress with them. So that's why we've got the double approach. We've got the academic strategy, and then we've got the staff retention strategy.
Nina, great job. Thank you very much. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Let's move to Watson.
Okay, great. Well, great presentation, Nina. That was great. I have two questions.
Thank you.
The first one is on your SWOT analysis having to do with the COVID-19 solution to going online, the online platform, e-learning. How are you going to solve the problems with families or students that do not have access to the internet or even have the hardware to participate in the learning activities?
Yeah. So that's a really tough one. And actually, that's one of the reasons why the Ministry of Education in Kenya is struggling, is suggesting that we lose 2020 as an academic year altogether. So many children don't have access to devices. But when you look at our particular target market, and they're lower to middle class. So when we did a survey, we found that 95 to 96% of them have access to the internet and to a device, even if it's just a smartphone. So they're able to continue with that. And we've tried to build a platform that also allows for, let's say a parent didn't have access to a device, they can come and collect the written worksheets from school, and then the child can do the work and they can bring it back to school, because most of our parents live fairly locally. But obviously we have to think about social distancing and taking the COVID-19 precautions when we do that.
Right, great. That was the second question also, how you're going to do social distancing. Okay, another question on your financials. Can we go to your income statement?
Yeah.
I believe that was your income statement.
Yes.
Okay. Can you make the screen larger a little bit? Just, okay, the question was 2019 and 2020. There's a huge reduction in sales,
Yes.
revenues. What
Yes.
caused that problem between 2019 and 2020? And to add to that, considering the reduction from 1 year, which was just last year, to this year, 2021, you are projecting going back up. So how are you going to increase, solve that problem going, from a low revenue back to where you were in 2019?
Okay. All right. Thank you for that question. So 2019 was a year when we had, so our school year is divided into 3 terms. So we had a full year of students. And when you look at the 2020 figures, schools in Kenya closed in March, which means we received revenue for the first third of the year. And the rest of the year, we've had COVID, which means that school has been closed. So COVID has affected our incomes dramatically. However, they haven't gone to nil. They've obviously reduced, but they haven't gone to nil because of the e-learning program. Now, 2021, we're expecting an increase because according to the ministry guidelines, we'll be reopening school in January. But we're also being realistic about the reopening because number one, we'll have a lot of families that have been affected in terms of incomes with regard to COVID-19. So we know that we will lose some children, but we also know that there are parents who would have been paying school fees in a more expensive school and would come to us. So we're expecting a balance there. And one of the things we're thinking about as well is the blended learning approach. So even though we may not get the entire population of students coming back, parents have concerns about sending their children back to school. So we intend to have a lot of our learning happening digitally still for that period. So that balance is what gives us the projection for 2021 and then looking at normalizing by 2022.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, good luck. And,
thank you. Thank you. We're praying about it, watching. Lots of other schools have actually closed down. We've lost about 130 odd schools in the last 1 month. So we're fighting and praying.
Yeah, well, we pray that everything goes well. Because this is a global problem. It's not just in Africa, it's global.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Watchin. Cherie.
Hello, Nina. That was an amazing presentation. Thank you. Very, very clear, very clearly communicated. So I want to congratulate you on that. Patrick and Watchin asked every single one of my questions. And then my last question or my last comment about moving forward, you answered yourself, which when I looked over your slides last night, I was so excited about the digital and the moving forward, that hybrid system. And I could really see you guys being able to diversify and flex and pivot moving forward, even past 2020, 2021, with a hybrid system, and maybe even increasing your reach by moving to that hybrid system. And so I was really, really excited about that. I think, all my questions on the financials. Oh, and one thing I really, really wanted to commend you on was how you see COVID as a threat and a strength.